This is the seventh class in Hakoines, which is a Maseches Bava Kama on Daf Nun Vav Amud Aleph. Let's begin with a general outline of this class. In the previous Gemara, we presented a brisa that teaches that there are four cases where a person is pater b'dinei adam and chayev b'dinei shemayim. And in our Gemara, there'll be two parts. Number one, the Gemara will ask that we actually find that there are another 5 cases where a person is pater b'dinei adam and chayev b'dinei shemayim, and the way the brisa was written indicates that it's saying that there are 4 cases and not anymore. It says there are 4 such cases, and these are they, which indicates there are 4 and not more. The question is that we actually find that there are another 5 cases where a person is pater b'dinei adam and chayev b'dinei shemayim. And number 2, the Gemara will answer this question. So we'll have a question and an answer. So let's see the Gemara in the flowchart form. In the previous Gemara, we presented a brisa that teaches that there are 4 cases where a person is pater b'dinei adam and chayev b'dinei shemayim, and the brisa enumerates what are these 4 cases. So the Gemara asks, V'su leka, and there aren't any more cases? There are no other cases besides these 4? And then the Gemara will enumerate v'ha'ika, but there are other cases. V'ha'ika, but there is the following case which is found in a brisa. It says, a person who does work with the waters of the paraduma, the mechatas, or with a paraduma itself, is pater b'dinei adam and chayev b'dinei shemayim. By doing work with the waters of the paraduma, or with the paraduma itself, he's not actually making any damage in the item itself. It's hezek she'enei nicker. It's not noticeable. So, for example, like Rashi says, he uses the waters to weigh an item, so there's no damage done to the waters. At the same time, he now makes them puzzle for being used. So therefore, since it's not recognizable, he's pater b'dinei adam, but since he caused the loss, he's chayev b'dinei shemayim. So we have a case where a person is pater b'dinei adam and chayev b'dinei shemayim. And the Gemara continues, v'ha'ika, but there is another case which we find in a brisa. It says a person who places poison in front of his fellow's animal, and the animal ate the poison and died, is pater b'dinei adam and chayev b'dinei shemayim. Once again, he's pater b'dinei adam and he's chayev b'dinei shemayim. So we have a second case. The Gemara continues, v'ha'ika, but there is another case. This one is found in a Mishnah. It says a person who sends a fire in the hands of a cheirish, shoite v'katan, an individual who we cannot hold responsible to take proper care and watch over the fire, and it led to damage. The din is pater b'dinei adam and chayev b'dinei shemayim. We have a third case. The Gemara continues, v'ha'ika, but there is another case which is found in a brisa. It says a person who screams in his fellow's ear, and as a result of the shock and makes him deaf. So again, it's pater b'dinei adam and chayev b'dinei shemayim. And like Rashi explains, because he didn't do any damage to the person's body itself, he didn't actually hit him directly, he just screamed in his ear. Therefore, he's pater b'dinei adam. However, since he caused him harm and injury, he's chayev b'dinei shemayim. And the fifth and final case, v'ha'ika, but there is another case which is also found in a brisa. It says a person whose pitcher broke in Rosh Hashanah and he didn't clean it. Or another case, a person whose camel fell in Rosh Hashanah and he didn't pick it up. So basically, his pitcher fell and broke in Rosh Hashanah, his camel fell in the Rosh Hashanah and he didn't pick up the broken pitcher or the camel. The din is as follows. Rabbi Meir says he's chayev if they cause damage. If the result of the pitcher being broken in Rosh Hashanah or the camel lying in the Rosh Hashanah is that somebody is injured, the person is chayev. And the Chachamim say he's pater b'dinei adam and chayev b'dinei shemayim. So we have another case where a person is pater b'dinei adam and chayev b'dinei shemayim. We'll just mention over here briefly, we'll bring it up in a scroll. What Rashi says is the machlekes between Rabbi Meir and the Chachamim, and that is the Gemara in Hamaniach explains. This Perek Hamaniach is an earlier Perek in Bava Kama, that Rabbi Meir and the Rabbanan argue about 2 matters, which is explained in the Gemara there, and they are as follows. Number 1, if a person falls, is it considered careless? Was it careless when the pitcher fell? Was it careless when the camel fell? And number 2, if a person made his items hefker, he relinquished ownership over them, is he chayev for damage they caused or not? So basically, the way it comes out, without getting into the explanation, that Rabbi Meir holds niskal pesheya, one who trips is considered careless, and number 2, hamafkin nizakov, one who makes hefker his items that could cause damage. Rosh Hashanah is chayev for the damage they caused, and since he was careless and he's chayev for the damage of his hefker items, he will be chayev. The Chachamim, however, hold number 1, an individual who trips is not pesheya, is not careless, and number 2, one who makes his items hefker is not chayev, and therefore the person is not chayev b'dinei adam. But nevertheless, the Chachamim hold that even though he's potter b'dinei adam, he is chayiv b'dinei shemayim. So the bottom line is, we find over here in 4 brises and 1 Mishnah that there are actually 5 additional cases where a person is potter b'dinei adam and chayiv b'dinei shemayim. So why does the brise that we quoted say that there are only 4 cases? And the Gemara answers, yes, there are more. There are more cases. There's not only 4. So what's the explanation for the brisa saying that there are only 4? The explanation is these cases are needed since by them one might think that the person is even potter b'dinei shemayim. When the brisa says there are 4 cases, it means to say 4 cases where you wouldn't know otherwise that the person is chayiv b'dinei shemayim. You would think that he is potter even b'dinei shemayim. So in other words, there are 4 cases where it's a chiddush. We need to be taught that the person is chayiv b'dinei shemayim. Whereas the 5 cases that we quoted, it's obvious that the person is chayiv b'dinei shemayim since he caused another person harm. In the first case, he took away the use of the waters of the paraduma or the paraduma itself. In the second case, he caused injury or death to his fellow's animal by placing poison there. In the third case, he was irresponsible in giving a fire to individuals that cannot be expected to be responsible to fire, and it caused damage. In the 4th case, he made somebody deaf. And in the 5th case, he left his items in the Rosh Hashanah and they caused damage and injury to another, or injury to another person. So there it's obvious that there should be a chiyuv b'dinei shemayim. Whereas in the cases of the brisa, we wouldn't know that the person is chayiv b'dinei shemayim, and that will be explained in the next class. So just to summarize, we had a question that there are additional cases besides the 4 in the brisa, and the Gemara answered that when the brisa says there are 4, it means 4 that we wouldn't know are chayiv b'dinei shemayim. However, if we're actually looking at the cases that are actually chayiv b'dinei shemayim, there are a lot more. It's if we focus on those that we wouldn't know are chayiv b'dinei shemayim, then there are only 4.